The ocean was quiet that morning, stretching endlessly like a silver sheet under the soft sun. Waves lapped gently against the shore, carrying the smell of salt and the faint sound of distant gulls. On the edge of the coast, a small research ship rocked lightly, tethered to a wooden pier. On board, Alara Voss stood at the bow, her eyes scanning the horizon. The sea had always called to her. It had always whispered secrets that no one else could hear. Ilara was not an ordinary archaeologist. She was fascinated by the stories of the past, especially those that had slipped quietly into myth. Her latest obsession was the legendary fleet of the Wooden Giants. Massive ships built centuries ago by humans who had mastered both engineering and mysterious, almost magical technologies. These ships were said to be more than wood and nails. They could repair themselves, sense danger, even communicate in ways humans had long forgotten. For years, scholars dismissed the fleet as legend. Old books, decayed scrolls, and tattered maps told stories of their glory, but no physical evidence had ever been found. Yet Alara had discovered a small Klua fragment of a star map hidden in a sealed chest in a coastal museum, along with a few pages of a captain's log. The map showed coordinates far beyond the reach of ordinary exploration, and the log hinted at a great fleet that had been sent to guard the oceans. Alara adjusted her coat as the wind blew across the deck. She was alone with her small team, yet her excitement was contagious. "We are close," she said softly, almost to herself. Her assistant Jonas, a tall, quiet man with an analytical mind, bent over the instruments in the cabin. "Close?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "According to these readings, we are in the middle of nothing. Just deep water." Ilara said with a smile. "That's where they sleep. Far from human eyes. Far from civilization. The old logs mentioned quiet waves and hidden depths. This is where the fleet rests." Jonas shook his head but said nothing. He had learned long ago not to argue when Ilara's instincts spoke louder than evidence. The crew began preparing the diving equipment. Ilara put on her suit, checking the oxygen levels and seals with careful hands. Every step felt like a ritual. She thought of the ships, enormous and silent, lying in the dark depths below. Ships that had once sailed proudly across oceans, carrying humans on journeys of discovery and defense. Now they were nothing more than shadows beneath the waves, sleeping giants waiting for someone to awaken them. Hours later, the small team descended into the ocean. The water turned from pale blue to deep navy, then almost black as the sunlight faded. Strange fish and glowing creatures passed them silently, curious but cautious. And then, almost as if the sea itself was guiding them, a shape appeared in the distance, a shadow larger than any ship they had ever seen. The hull was intact. Though algae and coral had grown over it in patterns that seemed almost decorative, massive timbers rose like the ribs of some ancient beast, and the bow pointed proudly forward, as if daring the ocean to forget it. Jonas let out a low whistle. "It's real," he said. "I didn't think anything this large could survive all these years." Ilara felt a shiver of excitement. "It's waiting for us," she said. "It remembers humans. It recognizes curiosity, intelligence, courage. That's why it's still here. That's why it hasn't rotted away like the others." The team anchored their suits to the hull and began to explore. Every plank and beam was perfectly preserved, strengthened by materials no one in the present could replicate. Strange markings ran along the wood, symbols that seemed alive under the touch. Ilara reached out, running her fingers across the surface. A soft hum vibrated through her gloves, almost like the ship was breathing. "Did you feel that?" she whispered. Jonas nodded slowly. "It's responding to us." Divers moved along the deck, discovering rooms filled with relics of the past. Wooden chests, carefully carved furniture, and even navigation tools lay as if the crew had just stepped away. Ilara opened a chest and found old logbooks, still legible despite the years. The ink had faded, but the words were strong. Tales of storms weathered, distant lands discovered, and mysterious forces harnessed by human skill. "This isn't just a ship," Ilara said softly. "It's a library, a memory of humanity." As the team explored further, they reached the captain's quarters. Here the ship seemed more alive than anywhere else. The air felt warmer, the hum louder. Alara touched a large wooden desk and saw a map etched into the surface. The lines glowed faintly, like a star map embedded in the wood. Her heart raced. "This is it," she said. "This is what the old logs spoke of." The fleet was designed to protect humanity, to explore and guard. These ships were never meant to be forgotten. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the hall. Jonas grabbed Alara's arm. What was that? Alara's eyes widened. The ship was moving. Not violently, but subtly, as if testing its strength, waking from a long slumber. She could feel it through her hands. The wooden giants were not dead. They were waiting. The team held their breath as the ship's hum grew into a steady rhythm, like a heartbeat. Light shimmered from the carvings on the walls, illuminating the cabin in soft patterns. Alara realized that the ship was responding to human presence, to intellect and curiosity. It recognized them as Alizo, at least, as worthy of attention. Back on the surface, storm clouds began to gather. Though the air remained calm around the ship, it was as if the vessel itself was commanding the weather, creating a shield against interference. Alara looked up at the gray sky, feeling a mixture of awe and fear. The fleet of the past was not gone. It had been waiting for humans who could understand it, humans who could awaken it without destroying it. The divers returned to the surface, their minds buzzing with possibilities. They had discovered more than just a ship. They had found a piece of humanity's soul, preserved and alive. The wooden giant had awoken slightly, responding to the touch, the curiosity, and the respect of those who approached it. Alara sat at the edge of the deck, staring at the water. "If we can awaken one," she said, "imagine the others. Imagine what humanity can do when the past and the present work together." Jonas nodded, still catching his breath. "But we need to be careful. If anyone finds out what we've discovered..." Alara's eyes narrowed. She had thought of that. There were others in the galaxy who would seek the ships for power, for weapons. But she also knew that humans, with intelligence and courage, could rise to the challenge. This was their moment, as the sun set, painting the waves in shades of gold and red. Lara felt the connection between humans and the wooden giants. It was a bond older than memory, rooted in craftsmanship, bravery, and the spirit of exploration. The ships were not just tools, they were guardians, storytellers, and companions. That night, Alara stayed on deck, listening to the gentle hum of the ocean and the soft vibration from the ship below. Sleep would not come easily. Her mind was alive with plans, calculations, and dreams. They had found the first wooden giant, and with it, a bridge between the past and the future. In the quiet beneath the endless waves, the other ships lay sleeping. Yet with the awakening of one, a chain reaction had begun. The wooden giants had not been destroyed by time, neglect, or the sea. They had been waiting for humans who could understand, who could respect, and who could lead. And Alara Voss was determined to be that human. The adventure had only just begun. The ocean was calmer now, but the air carried a strange tension. Alara Voss could feel it in her bones. The first wooden giant had awakened, even if only partially, and the hum of its ancient systems pulsed through the water like a heartbeat. She and her team prepared for a deeper exploration. Knowing that the true mysteries lay within the ship's bowels, Jonas checked the diving equipment once more, his eyes scanning the readings on his instruments. "Everything is stable," he said, though his voice carried a mix of excitement and worry. "But the ship, it's not ordinary. The readings are unlike anything I've seen. Energy signatures that shouldn't exist in wood. It's almost alive." Lara smiled. "That's because it is. Not alive like a human, but alive like memory and purpose. This ship remembers what it was built for, and now it remembers us." The team descended again, their movements careful and precise. As they approached the ship, its hum grew stronger, resonating through the water. Light flickered from the carvings along its hull, guiding them toward the entrance. It was as if the ship itself was inviting them inside. The interior was breathtaking. Massive wooden beams curved above their heads, polished and carved with symbols of ancient human achievement. Lanterns, powered by unknown mechanisms, glowed softly. The air smelled of sea and wood, and there was a warmth that no ocean current could explain. Alara led the team to the main control room, or at least what she assumed was the control room. A large, intricately carved wheel dominated the center, surrounded by panels embedded with strange symbols. The room seemed empty, yet it hummed with energy. As if the ship was aware of their presence, Jonas knelt by one of the panels, running his fingers across the carvings. These markings, they're not just decoration. They respond to touch. Look. As he pressed a symbol, a faint glow spread along the panel, and a holographic map appeared in midair. Stars, oceans, and currents formed a pattern that none of them fully understood. Elar's heart raced. It's a navigation system, but far more advanced than anything humans use today. It's alive, Jonas. The ship thinks, remembers, and adapts. Suddenly, a low vibration ran through the floor. The ship shivered gently, as if stretching after centuries of stillness. Panels clicked and shifted, revealing hidden compartments filled with instruments, logs, and strange devices. Jonas looked up, wide-eyed. It's waking fully, and it's showing us everything. Alara reached out to touch the glowing map. The ship responded immediately. Lines of light moved along the oceans, highlighting routes that humans had never traveled, marking dangers and safe paths alike. The hum became a soft voice in her mind, a presence rather than sound. You are worthy, it seemed to say. Curiosity and courage brought you here. You may walk with me. Alara felt a shiver run through her body. She whispered, We will honor you. We will protect you. As they explored further, a new challenge appeared. A rival alien faction, the Zyphar, had been monitoring human activity in the sector. They had long sought ancient human technologies, and the awakening of the wooden giant had triggered their attention. From a distance, their sleek metallic ships approached, their sensors scanning the ocean for anomalies. Back on the wooden giant, Elara sensed the change in the environment. The hum of the ship shifted, growing alert. They're here, she said, her voice steady but tense. Something is coming. Jonas checked the readings. Alien ships. They're not far, and they're advanced. Far more than us. If they find this ship... He didn't finish the sentence. The threat was clear. Elara turned to the team. We have two choices. Hide and risk them discovering the ship anyway, or awaken more of the fleet and prepare to defend ourselves. The team looked at each other. It was a dangerous decision, but Elara's determination was clear. We do what humans have always done, she said. We adapt, fight. We survive. We awaken the fleet. The process began cautiously. Elara studied the ship's systems, learning to interface with them. The ship responded to her commands, slowly powering up rooms, activating energy conduits, and illuminating the decks. Every action required thought, care, and respect. The wooden giant was not a machine to be forced. It was a partner, intelligent and proud. As the hours passed, the ship's movements became more coordinated. The timbers shifted subtly, the decks expanded slightly, and hidden mechanisms revealed themselves. Elara discovered that the ship could manipulate water currents, creating protective fields and moving silently without engines. It was a ghost in the deep, invisible to ordinary sensors. But the Zyphar were closing in. Their ships entered the sector, scanning aggressively. Elara and her team had to act fast. Using the ship's guidance, they sent signals into the deep ocean, attempting to awaken other wooden giants that lay in waiting. It was a delicate process. The ships responded slowly, their hums faint at first, then growing louder as they stirred. Light flickered along the hulls, and the water shimmered with energy. The fleet was awakening, one ship at a time, guided by human ingenuity and respect. The first few ships moved cautiously, testing their strength. The Zyphar detected the activity and fired warning pulses. Elara held her breath, praying that the wooden giants would react intelligently. They did. Massive timbers shifted. Shields of water formed around the hulls. and the ships moved in coordinated patterns that no human team could have planned alone. Jonas was in awe. They're learning. They're learning from us. And they're adapting faster than the Zyphar expected. Ilara nodded, her eyes focused. This is what humans do. We solve problems. We fight. We lead. As the first encounter with the Zyphar drew near, the wooden giants demonstrated their defensive power. Water currents became barriers, energy shields shimmered, and the ships moved with elegance and strategy. The Zyphar were surprised. They had expected old, useless relics, not intelligent vessels guided by human determination. The battle was not yet physical. It was a test of wits and willpower. The wooden giants could not strike directly without fully awakening, and the Zyphar had far superior weapons. But the humans had something the aliens could not calculate: creativity, courage, and the bond between past and present. Ilara directed the fleet, using signals, lights, and sound vibrations. The ships responded instantly, moving to positions that gave humans a tactical advantage. Hidden channels allowed them to evade detection while protecting the main giant. The Zyphar fired pulses that struck empty water, confused by the shifting ships. Jonas smiled, breathless. It's working. They can't hit us. Not yet. Lara's mind raced. The wooden giants were awakening not only in presence, but in intelligence. They recognized strategy, learned from observation, and even anticipated enemy actions. Humanity's past and present were merging into something extraordinary. Force that combined ancient craftsmanship with human creativity. Night fell over the ocean, but the battle of wits continued. Light from the awakened ships cut through the darkness, shimmering like stars reflected in the water. Ilara knew that the first major test was coming. The Zyphar would not wait long. She stood at the bow of the giant, feeling the hum beneath her feet. "We can do this," she said quietly. "Not because we are stronger, but because we are human. And humans never give up." Jonas put a hand on her shoulder. "You're right. And maybe the fleet remembers more than we think. Maybe it knows what to do next." Lara nodded. She could feel it, the ship's awareness, its readiness, its trust. The bond between humans and the wooden giants had begun. If they could survive this encounter, they could awaken the rest of the fleet and prove that humans, even against superior technology, could rise to any challenge. The night was alive with possibility. The ocean held secrets older than humanity, but humans were ready to uncover them. The wooden giants stirred, the hum of their power resonating through the waves. And somewhere in the darkness, the Zyphar fleet waited, unaware that they were about to face something they had never imagined: the combined ingenuity of humans and the ancient. "Guardians of the sea," Ilara whispered into the wind. "Almost as a promise, we will protect you. We will awaken your brothers. Together, we will show the galaxy what humans can do." The wooden giant responded with a deep, resonant hum, a sound that spoke of trust, memory, and readiness. The awakening had begun. The sun rose slowly over the endless waves, casting golden light on the first wooden giant that had awakened. Ilara Voss stood on its deck, her eyes scanning the horizon. The ocean seemed calm, but she knew better. Beneath the surface, the fleet of sleeping giants stirred, waiting for the signal to rise. And above, far in the distance, the alien Zyphar fleet approached, sleek metallic ships cutting through the water like predators hunting prey. Ilara turned to Jonas and the rest of the team. "Today we finish what we started. Today, we awaken the fleet fully, and we show the galaxy what humans can do." Jonas nodded, checking the instruments one last time. "The Zyphar are closing fast. They will reach us before we finish, but we have something they do not. We have strategy, courage, and the ship's trust." Ilara placed her hand on the polished wood of the deck. She could feel the hum beneath her fingers, stronger than ever. It was the giant's heartbeat, alive and aware. It had learned, adapted, and now it was ready. "Begin," she whispered. Deep below the waves, the other wooden giants stirred. One by one, their hulls creaked and shifted as ancient mechanisms reactivated. Light shimmered along their decks, carvings glowing like constellations. Each ship rose slightly, controlled by currents they generated themselves, moving silently and gracefully. The team guided them carefully, using signals of light, sound, and vibration. The ships responded instantly, like students learning from a master teacher. Ilara realized something incredible. The fleet did not just obey commands, it thought, adapted, and even anticipated. Their movements were coordinated, almost as if the giants themselves understood tactics and strategy. Above, the Zyphar fleet detected the disturbance. Their sensors flashed warnings as their ships adjusted positions, trying to locate the source of the strange signals. They had expected old relics, forgotten and useless. What they saw now shocked them: massive wooden ships moving with precision, forming formations far superior to human calculations. Ilara felt her heart race. "Stay calm," she told the team. "They can't win if we use our brains and the fleet's power together." The first contact came with a warning pulse. Zyphar energy weapons fired toward the largest wooden giant, but the ship moved before the beams could strike. Currents of water shifted, deflecting the pulses harmlessly into the ocean. Light shimmered across the decks as the carvings on the wood glowed in response. The fleet was alive, protecting itself intelligently. Jonas grinned. "It's working. They can't hit us. They're predicting the attacks." Ilara nodded, eyes fixed on the horizon. "Then we fight smart, not hard. Use the ship's intelligence, not just their strength." The wooden giants began to form a defensive formation. Currents created barriers, shields of moving water that hid their positions and redirected enemy scans. Hidden compartments opened, revealing tools and mechanisms designed centuries ago to repair and adapt. The ships moved silently, anticipating the Zyphar fleet's every maneuver. The aliens tried to strike again, unleashing a flurry of beams and pulses. But every attack failed. The wooden giants shifted like living creatures, weaving through the currents, evading and countering with non-lethal but stunning precision. Massive waves rose and fell, manipulated by the ships, pushing Zyphar vessels off balance without harming them. Ilara guided the fleet, using a combination of instincts, knowledge, and respect. "Move left. Now right. Form a circle." The ships obeyed, twisting and turning with a grace that amazed even her. Jonas watched in awe. "They're learning from us. They're predicting our commands and even the enemy's reactions. This is beyond anything I've ever seen." Ilara smiled, feeling a rush of pride. Humans created them. Humans guide them. And together, we are unstoppable. Hours passed in tense silence. The Zyphar grew frustrated, their attacks becoming reckless. They had underestimated the power of human creativity combined with the wisdom of the past. The wooden giants, fully awakened now, moved in perfect harmony, anticipating each strike and countering without direct violence. Then came the moment of decision. Ilara knew that to end the encounter, they had to show the Zyphar the full capability of the fleet. She gave the signal a soft tap on the main control panel, and the largest wooden giant responded instantly. Massive timbers shifted, revealing hidden structures along the hull. The ship's energy systems glowed brightly, illuminating the ocean around them. Currents moved in precise patterns, creating whirlpools and barriers that blocked the Zyphar's path. Waves rose and fell, controlled with exacting precision. Herding the alien ships into a trap, the Zyphar fired desperately, but the giants anticipated each move. Water shields deflected energy pulses, and mechanical arms emerged from hidden compartments to capture small vessels without harm. The fleet moved with intelligence, precision, and elegant stools of war, reimagined as guardians of strategy and defense. Ilara watched, breathless, as the Zyphar realized they were outmatched. "We can't win," one of their commanders shouted through a communicator, frustration clear in their voice. They're not just ships. They're alive." Jonas laughed quietly. "Not alive. Intelligent, adaptive, human." Ilara's eyes shone with determination. "And now they know that humans will never give up. That we will rise, protect what we created, and fight for what is right." The Zyphar, understanding defeat, retreated. Their ships disappeared beyond the horizon, leaving the ocean calm once more. The wooden giants returned to their positions, but now their hum was stronger, steadier, song of victory. Of intelligence and courage combined, Ilara stepped onto the main deck, feeling the vibration beneath her feet. She looked at the massive wooden timbers, the glowing carvings, the hidden machinery, all proof that humans could create wonders that endured beyond time and danger. Jonas joined her, his eyes wide. There, beautiful, and alive in their way, Ilara nodded. They're proof of what humans can do. We may be small, but we have courage, creativity, and determination. And when we combine those with what we've learned from the past, we can face any challenge. The team spent the next hours exploring the fully awakened giant. Rooms once silent were now humming with life. Mechanisms moved with purpose. Navigation tools glowed, mapping currents, weather, and even distant stars. The ship had learned from humans, and humans had learned from the ship. Together, they were more than either could be alone. Ilara knew this was just the beginning. The wooden giants of the sea had been sleeping for centuries, but now they had awakened. They would patrol the oceans, protect humanity, and remind the galaxy that humans, with ingenuity and courage, could rise against any threat. At sunset, the ocean glowed with golden light, reflecting off the wooden hulls of the fleet. Ilara stood at the bow of the largest giant, her hair blowing in the wind. She felt a deep connection to the ships, the builders of the past, humans of the present, and the guardians of the future. "This is our gift," she whispered to the waves. "The fleet remembers, and now we will remember together. We will protect, explore, and honor what we have inherited. And the galaxy will know that humans are never to be underestimated." Jonas joined her, smiling. "You did it, Ilara. You awakened them. And they chose to trust us." Ilara nodded, her eyes fixed on the horizon. "Not just us. They chose to trust humanity, and we will not disappoint them." The wooden giants hummed in approval, a sound that carried across the waves like a promise. It was a sound of memory, of courage, and of hope. The fleet was awake, and humanity had proven that intelligence, creativity, and determination could overcome even the greatest challenges. The night fell softly, the stars reflecting in the calm ocean. The wooden giants lay in formation, guardians of the seas and protectors of human legacy. Ilara looked out at the fleet, feeling a sense of peace she had never known. The adventure was far from over, but now humans and the wooden giants faced the future together, strong, united, and ready for whatever the galaxy might bring. And somewhere in the deep, the other ships slept lightly, ready to rise at the call of humans who dared to dream, explore, and fight for what was right. The oceans were theirs. The legacy was theirs. Humanity had awakened the giants and, in doing so, had awakened a new chapter in the story of the stars.